My husband and I are blessed to teach the 7 and 8-year-olds.
Hi, Maggie. I wanted to talk to you. This is Teaching for Women about Easter because it's probably something that you are not aware of. That Easter and Christmas have pagan origins, and they're actually horrible pagan traditions that are rooted in child sacrifice. And you can actually look this up really easily now on the internet. So, Easter is celebrating Ishtar. It was a pagan god that we've been actually worshiping for the last 2,000 years. There is Ishtar, Queen of Heaven, is in our Bible. Astaroth. She has many names. In First and Second Kings, she's Astaroth. And in Jeremiah 4:7-44, she's the Queen of Heaven they baked cakes to. Christmas also, Jeremiah 10, honoring Nimrod and Tammuz, the reincarnation of Nimrod, the sun god. And it's all rooted from Constantine, a pagan man who worshipped the sun god. When he converted, he incorporated these pagan, horrible customs into the church, idolatry. All the way down to your little whisker basket, all originated from the spring ritual of honoring Queen of Heaven, the fertility god. And this, you can look up the story, but the egg, there's an egg that came down once a year. They would make those whisker baskets, going on a hunt for that egg. And they would dip the eggs in the child sacrifice. That's where painting of the eggs came from. It's actually a really horrible, disgusting tradition that Christians have incorporated. And our Bibles tell us not to learn the ways of the heathen. Deuteronomy 12, Jeremiah 10. Don't ask how they worship their gods so you can worship their gods. Because of a pagan man, all these 46,000 different denominations that stem off of the Catholic Church, they all worship on Sun God Day, because Constantine changed the Sabbath day to Sun God Day worship because he worshipped the sun god, Tammuz. That's where the cross came from. The cross used to honor Tammuz, the sun god. It was the first letter in his name. The reincarnation of Nimrod, that's where the Trinity came from as well. You can easily look all this up. I'm just telling you because I don't think you know any of this. And your Bible tells you that there's going to be men who will creep in unaware, turning the grace of God into lasciviousness, which is your unmerited favor. In Jude 1 verse 4, your Bible warns you that this is going to happen. Lasciviousness, you can look it up in the Strong's Concordance. It means unbridled lust, wantonness, shamelessness. This is what the church teaches, that you can be a sinner, you can give in to your lusts, be a sinner, and receive unmerited favor. Be shameless in it. Your Bible warns you that people are going to do this because grace is not unmerited favor. Grace, you can look up in Titus 2. It's actually a spirit. Hebrews 10 verse 29 tells you it's a spirit. And it teaches you to deny sin and lust of this world so you can live righteously. And Yeshua was prophesied, his son. He gives you lots of warnings in John chapter 5. He tells you that he came in his Father's name and you have not received him. But there's going to be one that comes in his own name that you're going to receive. Constantine took the name Yahushua, changed it to Jesus because he was Greek, and he incorporated all this pagan idolatry in the church that we've been doing for the last 2,000 years. And the gospel that comes with this name, Jesus, that you're saved by unmerited favor because of ungodly men that have turned the grace of God into unmerited favor, lasciviousness. Now, all these denominations think that they don't have to obey the covenant that his son refreshed, that he was prophesied to do. Yeshua told you, go search the scriptures in John chapter 5. For he knows that you don't have the love of God in you. He says that because in 1 John chapter 5, it says, for this is the love of God, to keep his commandments, and they're not grievous. And he's talking about the 10 commandments that Yeshua refreshed, that what he was prophesied to do in Acts 3, verse 18 through 23, and Deuteronomy 18, verse 15 through 19, that Jehovah would raise him up. He would teach what was desired at Horeb, the life-giving water, Exodus 17, Deuteronomy 4 through 6, the 10 commandments. He came to end sacrificial law, the law that was added to the 10 commandments because of the transgression. Jehovah made a contract with them, a covenant at the rock of Horeb with his voice when he first brought them out of Egypt. The Israelites agreed to that. So he would be their God and they would be his people. And then they feared the Lord. They didn't want to hear his voice anymore. So they asked Moses to be their mediator. So Moses went up on Mount Sinai to receive the 2 tables of stone with the 10 commandments, that contract. But he was up there for 40 days and 40 nights, and so they grew impatient and gathered around Aaron, Exodus 32, and had him make him a calf, breaking that covenant. So when Moses came down, he threw the stone tables on the ground, breaking them, signifying they broke the covenant. And then Jehovah gave him the sacrificial law, which Moses wrote, the handwritten ordinances that was written in a book. And he tells you until it was finished. It wasn't meant to be forever. Deuteronomy 31, until it was finished. Galatians 3:19, serve the law that was added because of transgression, the sacrificial law, until the seed should come, which the promise was made, what was prophesied, that Yeshua would come, finish sacrificial law. That's why he says, it is finished when he gave up the ghost. He finished sacrificial law and refreshed his father's covenants, what Jehovah originally wanted. So he would be their God and they would be his people. You need to go read these because this is the gospel. Yeshua gave you 2 commandments in Matthew 22 to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. He gave you first and great commandment was the 5th commandment of Jehovah, to honor your father and your mother. This is Ephesians chapter 6, verse 3. The first commandment with promise, one of the covenants of promise in Ephesians 2 that you have to keep to be grafted in. Because the promise was, if he tells you in Deuteronomy chapter 6, which Yeshua quotes, love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. This is verse 5 of Deuteronomy chapter 6. He tells you to put the commandments on your heart. Put them in your heart. Teach your children. And the promise was you would live long in the land. It was that covenant, because it covers that 10 commandments, the original covenant with promise that you'll live long in the land, and it will be your righteousness. Jehovah's righteousness, Romans 10, that so many are ignorant because they've established their own. The Bible gives you so many warnings about this. We're supposed to keep both the covenants of promise. The first covenant with promise was with Noah to eat clean, Genesis 6 through 9, verse 4. And that's a perpetual covenant as well. Read Isaiah 65 and 66. Those that have swine's flesh in their vessels will be destroyed with the mouse. End time prophecy. And the second covenant with promise was what he refreshed.